I had a cup of coffee too. Welcome, new and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blackshear, broadcasting to you live from the City of Diversity, Oakland, California, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time every news day Thursday. Memorial Day is just around the corner. We are honored those that have volunteered in our military ranks. Our guest today is a member of our podcast family, Tasemere Gathers, urban planner turned business visionary strategist. Stay tuned for the interview with my other sister from the East Coast, now in Baltimore, Maryland, Tasemere. Also, or it's Hartfield, Maryland. I think that's what she said. But we also have coming on today, brother currently running for the governor of the California great state in 2026. And that's Barack Obama. Be sure to get out and give that man your vote. And his Ring of Truth political party, what is your summer shaping up to be so far? Thank you as well for your military service during this month of May. Hashtag the young Barack D. Obama Shaw. Hashtag Barack Obama for governor. CA. And once again, that's hashtag Barack Obama, the numeral 4, GOVCA, as written up here above. Now, did you miss last week's podcast? As we have been posting clips from last week of Michael Haney from 60 Minutes in Black America and super guest, Emmy-nominated journalist, the godfather of both our podcasts, Mr. Doni Glover. Yes, he has allowed both Michael Haney and I to be a part of the BlackUSA.News network. And let me tell you something. It was amazing. Mr. Doni Glover and Michael Haney lit it up last week. Oh my God. You got to go back and see that show. These two were verbally, and you know I like to fight. These two were verbally sparring last week as they discussed Jackson State football and Deion Sanders, which Michael Haney called him a sellout. I had to be honest. That was kind of funny. Called him a sellout regarding the departure from Jackson State University. However, when Michael Haney said shades of Deion Sanders, that was it. And that was all. The link is in our show description or Instagram bio link in case you want to check out their fire. And I'm talking about fire, audience. They were just, it was outstanding. We also are replaying clips from our May 9th, 2024 featuring Valeria Howard Cunningham. This sister is amazing. She is the owner of the Bill Pickett Invitation Rodeo, BPIR, the only African-American traveling rodeo in the world, celebrating their 40th year. Yes, folks, 40 years of Black rodeo. What a wealth of history she shared. So if you missed this link, look at the link as also in our bio and show description, but get your tickets, Bay Area, as the July 13th seats are sold out. Yes, they are sold out. Last I looked, the 14th may be as well. So get on that right away. Don't let another minute go by without getting on their website and purchasing a ticket. We all miss her soothing presence. Our sister, my friend, my colleague, and show contributor since our inception over 3 years ago this month, Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology, and her Therapeutic Thursday. We want to continue her work, especially during Mental Health Month 2024. As a mental health reminder for our audience today, here are a few important resource numbers. If you're feeling depressed, anxiety, overwhelmed, feel suicidal, don't fight it alone. Please call 988. Once again, the number is 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can text or you can chat. So once again, if you're feeling suicidal and you're feeling overwhelmed, please reach out to 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. For women looking to talk to a therapist, yes, women looking for a therapist, their website is therapyforblackgirls.com. And men, oh, that's my little sister back there. I see you. How you doing? That's one thing I like about you, hon. You never late, you always on time. And for men looking for therapy, therapyforblackmen.org. Please look at the hashtag below and reach out. Don't go through this by yourself. Thank you. Celebrating this month, courtesy of nationaldaycalendar.com. National Taffy Day, saltwater taffy, was invented in 1883 in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and Lucky Penny Day. Also, National Weeks. National Public Works Week recognizes the planning, building, and management of local communities to keep our cities running smoothly day in and day out. Hashtag National Day. National Month. National Military Appreciation Month. During May, we recognize Loyalty Day, VE Day, the end of World War II in Europe on May 8th, 1945. Armed Forces Day, also Military Spouses Day, and last but definitely not least, Memorial Day. See the hashtags as listed below. Let's be clear here, audience. As we move on, and we're waiting on Mr. Barack Obama to come on, I want to say this. This show has promoted some of the most incredible people to see them go on and do some great things. And I can't wait to share some of the good news that's happening here that's not just nationally, but internationally regarding a Black man and his organization getting the rights. Yes, the right. I wear this lapel today, this pendant on my lapel saying that I'm proud to be an Oaklander based on what our mayor and our city council is moving through to provide the historic moment in the state, in the county, in the city of Oakland, California. A calendar note from Equal Justice Initiative. On May 23rd, 1796, a newspaper ad was placed seeking the return of Ona Judge, an enslaved Black woman who had absconded from the household of the President of the United States, George Washington. Click on EJI calendar link for the remainder of this story and the history lesson in our podcast description. Learn more about our history of racial injustice, racial discrimination, and the ongoing racism in businesses all across this country. I faced racism recently, and let me tell you something. An injury that I have was directly result of racism in this country. So read all about it in EJI. Don't forget to know your past so you can be moving forward to your future. Today on the Black Business Roundtable, currently Tasemere gathered. There she is right now. Give us a wave out there, sister. I am so glad to see you. Tasemere Gather is the founder of the DM firm, a certified minority woman business enterprise business. Her firm provides economic development support for micro and small businesses improvement district, nonprofit, and foundation. Tasemere Gathers holds a Bachelor of Arts in History from SUNY, and am I saying that correctly? Is SUNY or SUNY?
SUNY Oswego.
SUNY Oswego. Oh, that's a hell of a name right there. SUNY Oswego, a master's in urban studies from Long Island University, marketing certificate from the General Assembly, and is a Choral neighborhood leader alumni.
I'm going to jump in here, Doug, and help you out with some of these updates.
Okay.
As your assistant for today, and interviewee. So internationally, nationally, regionally, and local announcements. Events. The Black Food and Wine Experience is June 1st, 2024. Indulge in a delightful fusion of flavors, rich heritage of foods, wines, and cocktails inspired by the diaspora. Place the Bridge Yard, located at 210 Berman Road, Oakland, California, USA. The tickets are on Eventbrite. I think the link is up above. Returning June 6th to our podcast, friends of the show guest, BBRT co-host, and Doug's brother, Barack Obama Shaw, running for governor of California. Also returning on June 6th is, what is this? Kiyaka Shivers, founder of
Kaya Nyambi Shivers.
Thank you, Doug.
You're doing a great job.
Art Republic. We will be interviewing Rex Pulick, author of Sideways, which became a movie, and he just announced the competition of the, help me out with this, Doug, Cheology Sideways, Oregon. And he is now accepting pre-orders. Sideways Chile and Sideways New Zealand. The Sideways movie screening returns on October 2024 to Wine Country and the beautiful Napa Valley. I just watched that on the Food Network channel. It looks amazing. I can't wait to get to Wine Country. BRT will keep you posted, and see the contact information below.
You know what, audience? This is why I call her my sister from another mother, because Barack Obama Shaw is running late today. And one thing I love about this young lady, she's intelligent, she's articulate. She reminds me of Dr. Ashley. I work well with her together. I am so proud to have you on the show today, and we're going to knock it out. So,
of course.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the next leg. And as you can see, our producer, she doesn't get the on-screen credit, but she does an amazing show. She's hard on me, and lately I've been on medicine because of an injury I had at work, but she stays on me. She keeps this show running like clockwork, and I want to give her kudos out. We're gonna call her Producer X. I love you, Producer X. And sometimes I get a little frustrated, and I'm taking some medicine right now and trying to heal. It's a long process, but I just want to give you your props and tell you I love you. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing a great job. Moving forward, confirm for our podcast, July 11th, first time guest running for senator is Jovanka Beckles. Yes, Jovanka Beckles. And I am happy to be co-hosting on that day with my brother, Barack Obama Shaw, who once again is running for the governor of the state of California in 2026. Give us your thumbs up and thumbs down locally, nationally, or internationally. Hashtag thumbs up, hashtag thumbs down. And we got some hell of a thumbs up and thumbs down today, hon. Let me tell you, fans of this segment, send me your thumbs up and thumbs down the day before the show, and they may be featured on the show. Contact us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. So are you ready? Let's get it popping. Let's go. I am proud to announce Black Restaurant Week, encouraging people to patronize Black restaurants. And I want to say this, audience, before I go into this spectacular news of the day, of the week, of the month. Black people spend $1.5 trillion in this economy in America. If we took 1/3 of that money and bought Black, we could have our own economy. We would be respected more by Americans, specifically white America. We buy their cars. We buy their products. We make billionaires out of them. Let's start making millionaires and billionaires out of our own people. Buy Black, patronize Black restaurants, not only this week, this month, this year, and forever. Let's buy Black. Now, we also have some outstanding news. As everyone knows, Ray Bobbitt, president and CEO of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, is purchasing half of the Oakland Coliseum. Oakland Coliseum is ranked 4th in the nation for its accessibility to the airport, trains, BART. BART is Bay Area Rapid Transit, the highways, the buses. It is one of the primo Coliseum in the nation. Congrats to friend of the show, Ray Bobbitt. Man, we can't wait to get you back on. I saw you on with the mayor this morning when she introduced the idea and the moving forward on you. And you've been diligent. You've been a beast on pushing to get this done. And let me tell you, audience, the NFL will not sell you a team if you do not have a Coliseum to play. So once again, we want to congratulate Ray Bobbitt for this historic accomplishment and this historic moment in history. Thumbs down. Dun, 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 dun. Thumbs down goes to Uber, Lyft, and other companies who do not pay fair wages and benefits. And I'd like to say this, you non-union pimping companies out there who are pimping our people, and specifically Black people. Unions came into existence because of greedy business billionaire owners. So remember that as you keep pimping your employees, paying them pebbles while you take home the paper. Today, audience, and you've already had a glimpse of her on this show today. And she was on, I was a couple years ago. Audience, let's welcome to the Black Business Roundtable, our East Coast sister and friend of the show, Tasemere.
Hello. I'm happy to be back.
Let me tell you something, audience. This young sister has done more to encourage other Black businesses than some people who have been in business for over 40 and 50 years. I am pleased and proud to introduce Tasemere back on to the Black Business Roundtable, and that's what we do at the Black Business Roundtable. We encourage Black excellence, black business, by black, political black. We just black, girl.
I'm happy to be back. Thank you for having me.
Well, first off, before we get into the question, since my co-host is running late, he must have had a huge problem. Can you update our audience on what you're doing now? Because I understand you moved from New York. Because I love saying live from New York. I'm gonna let you update our audience on what you're doing. I know you've taken a break from your show, but tell them where you were and where you are. I'm gonna turn it over.
So years ago, I was based in New York City, and because New York City is becoming increasingly expensive, my family and I decided that we should take a move. And the move was hard to make, to be quite honest. I'm a New Yorker through and through. So, of course, it was a little bit challenging for me to change locations, but we decided to go to Maryland. And we had a few states that we were thinking about, and Maryland was definitely top on the list. And so we moved to Maryland. We've been here for about a year and still learning and understanding how Maryland works, how business works. But I will say some important things to note is that coming from such a crowded place like New York City and having some challenges getting connected to the business community, it has been a lot easier to do that here in the DMV. And so I'm super excited about what I've been able to do, people that I've been able to meet, have very thought-provoking conversations with them around business, what it takes to continue to grow your business, but also family, since I have two small kids, and what it takes to include your kids in your community. I will definitely say I feel like I've moved into a neighborhood that is very community driven and community focused. On the business side, I've decided to take my expertise a little bit more into the field of supporting organizations and foundations outside of just one-to-one services with entrepreneurs, because what we're really focusing on is economic development and workforce development through entrepreneurship. And so really trying to push that out there a little bit more and really focusing on getting connected to the ecosystem and helping other folks in business understand their local ecosystem and how that will create a more national economy and how they can get plugged into thought makers around the country and then around the world.
Audience, you hear her child in the background, and I welcome your child because a lot of let me be clear here before I get into the first question. When back in the 80s and the 90s, my daughter was born in 1994. I was so busy chasing the dollar. I was at several companies, one being a several companies being multi-billion dollars. I was working 16, 18, 19 hours a week. I missed many years of my child's upbringing. Her mom did an outstanding job. My daughter graduated from USF and has gone on to do some outstanding things. I want to have her on the show one day because she has her own business now. But Tasemere, I am proud of you to be having your children be a part of your life, your working life. Because I'll say this, when I had to deal head on with the billion-dollar company, I found out that white men and women, specifically men, they were working 8 hours, 9 hours a day and making 25 to 40% more money than I was. And I was making, and I was picking up most of the work, getting most of the work done. So I want to commend you on what you're doing with your children. Please, work and family life, there is a balance, and you are achieving that. I remember you on your show. I know you took a break. I used to hear your kids in the background. So audience, this is the type of woman. This is the type of family that we want to raise our Black kids to understand that there is a work-family balance. Keep up the great work. So let's dive right on
Thank
in.
you for that, Doug. Thank you for that. Yes, I used to. Well, now my kids are a little bit older. I think when I first started, my son was 6 months. He's now 3. And I have a 1-year old as well. They usually are on almost all of my business calls. So if you want to do business with me, you also understand that I have 2 small kids. That does not impact the quality of the work that I provide at all.
All right. Well, congratulations, and I'm very proud of you. Remember,
Thank you.
family and work, there is a balance. So why don't we dive right on in? Please share with our audience a little about your background and what you currently do on the East Coast. And I think we covered that one at the beginning. So we're going to move on to 2. What is the current entrepreneurial state nationally? Thank you.
Okay, so nationally, we're going through a major shift that I think a lot of Black business owners and minority business owners don't necessarily understand. So, we like to do a lot of businesses that might be considered as lifestyle businesses. And these business ecosystem clusters are determining that lifestyle businesses are not as scalable. And so you're going to start to see a lot of disinvestment in some of the businesses that we tend to create. And that is going to cause us to have very hard pathways into building this generational wealth that you hear us talking about. So, what I'm encouraging a lot of entrepreneurs to start doing is to think about how they are creating more climate and sustainability practices in their business, and thinking about all other cross pollination of industries that they can include best practices in, so that way they don't get pigeonholed into this lifestyle business category, which is going to start seeing a lot of disinvestment as people are thinking about more deep tech, more AI, more life science businesses are starting to get a lot of the funding that's coming down the pipe.
And what trends are we seeing in economic development and specifically in the Black community? Thank you.
So the trends that we are starting to see is that, one, a lot of Black people are starting to become entrepreneurs, which is a great thing. But what we are also seeing is that we're not thinking so much about economic development and workforce. We're kind of thinking about creating a job for ourselves and not building businesses that are expandable, that we can hire within the community, not really thinking about what it takes in order to build a business that you can hire 2 people, 3 people, 10 people. What does all of that involve? How do you bring on advisors? What we're doing is thinking that these businesses are going to be popcorn solutions, which fizzle out very quickly. So if you want to be a sustainable business that's really going to have the impact that you might desire to have, I think we have to start changing the way we are doing business, one, but also how we are thinking about building the businesses that we want to have.
And audience, that goes into what I was saying initially, back in the 80s and the 90s, just like our Black brothers and sisters are being put in penitentiary for petty crimes, and white people who do the same thing get a slap on the hand. White businesses will exploit, these billionaire companies will exploit men and women, overworking them and underpaying them, with our white counterparts having a much more flexible work schedule. So I think it's very important on the work that you're doing to help businesses, and what you said, what's going on in the Black community, that we're building our own businesses so we can be flexible to those working parents out there who need to spend time with our kids to be successful. I'm very proud to hear of that great work you're doing out there on the East Coast, Sister Tasemere. And as you see, our godfather, Donnie Glover, he said that, because I told him, we're going to start putting East Coast and West Coast border to border. We're going to start locking our hands together. We're going to stop buying these cars from these billionaire white men who pimp and pander our kids who work for them. We're going to start buying our own products. We're going to start holding white America accountable and making sure that Black America get the same and equal treatment while they're at work so they can spend time with their family. To that end, how can Black business leaders and entrepreneurs participate? Thank you.
Well, one, I think we have to start thinking about the ecosystem. One thing that I have always known is that there's a lot of competition, and competition can be great, but it can also hinder us as well. And so what the business community is actually doing is that they're thinking about local ecosystem building. I think that that's something that we also have to start thinking about as well. When you're thinking about opening up a business or doing a service, 9 times out of 10 when I'm working or hearing from other Black entrepreneurs, what I'm hearing is, I do everything. So they just keep adding additional services or products onto the list instead of seeing how they can collaborate collectively with someone else and creating this funnel of moving clientele back and forth. I really think that we need to start thinking about local ecosystem building. How do we connect with each other? How do we support each other in meaningful ways? How do we share in lead generation and marketing and really figuring that piece out? That is really where the business industry is going. They want entrepreneurs to be in an ecosystem. So no longer are you going to do A to Z and you do everything well, right? Like maybe you work with entrepreneurs that have ideas, and then maybe you work with entrepreneurs that are revenue generating, and then maybe you work with entrepreneurs that are in VC, and you know all those stakeholders, you know what they need, you know how to articulate different services and products to your own clientele. We have to start working as an intentional ecosystem system, really, in order to really have any kind of impact that we're really going to want to have.
Also, use Black professional services, accountants, lawyers. Stop going to the white man, because we have a lot more lawyers, a lot more accountants, a lot more professionals out there who are Black. Buy Black, use Black services, use Black professional services. So what you're saying is right on key to what I preach. Pour your money into our economy instead of the white economy of America that has exploited Black people for 400 years.
Can I just add on to that, Doug, too?
Yes.
I think one of the challenges that I have seen is this valuation that we make on each other that I think we really need to address. So instead of us listening to the content of what someone is saying, we're looking at all of these external factors that really don't hold water. So we might be looking at how someone dressed, with what they wear, how they do their hair, what they're driving, and none of that has any kind of insight into the content and the value that they're having. And that creates additional barriers where that shouldn't even be a barrier, right? And so I think we also need to take a hard look at how we're valuing other people in the space and why we're saying we will work with them or we won't. Because I've had that challenge as well. And sometimes it can be very frustrating that you're bringing information and resources to a group of people that don't value the information and the resources. And so what ends up happening is that we really are doing a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, so we'll say, I don't know how to grow my business. No one is helping me to grow my business. But you're looking for this person to come in a particular package that you value, where that person that might have that information might not look or even talk how you want them to, but they have the content and the network in order to take you to the next stage. That's a lot of work that we have to do, because what ends up happening is that if I'm an entrepreneur and I want to be successful, I might have to change my audience to the people that's actually wanting to pay for my service. And if I want to stay in business, I might have to say, like, hey, I really would love to work with Black business owners, but they don't want to buy what I'm selling. So I'm going to go change my services or my products, and I'm going to go work with someone that actually wants to work with me. So you'll start losing experts because we're not being receptive to the messaging that they want to give us and the content, because it's not coming in a particular package.
Outstanding. And thank you for sharing that with us, because that is correct. Audience, I'm not saying to not bar or not work with white businesses, but make sure that you look and make sure that we have our we pour energy into finding people who look like us before you look outside, because there's a lot of people in this country who look like us that have expertise that could use our business and can do business well. To that end,
With that. Yes.
to that end, how do economic development and workforce development overlap? Thank you.
So when you start a business, and you become profitable, you have created a job for yourself. When you're able to make enough profits to hire someone else, whether they're a part-time worker, an independent contractor, or even a vendor, you actually are putting food on someone else's table. Like that I'll say that again. You are putting food on someone else's table. So we have to think about it in that way, right? Like we're hiring for work that we need to happen, whether it's you need to build a website, you need to get a copywriter, you need to have someone that does your marketing, you need to have someone that manages your books, you need to have someone that's your business coach, you need to have someone that's your pitch coach, you need to find an incubator or an accelerator. Whatever you're paying for, whether you're bartering, whether you're exchanging equity for service, or whether you're cutting a check, these are all transactions that are happening that definitely play into workforce development. The sooner we're able to make that connection, the better off we will all be as a group, because I think that we're not thinking about it in that kind of way, that we are creating jobs, whether they're seasonal, part-time, or full-time, or temporary. A job is a job, and it's experience that you're giving to someone else.
And I'm glad you said a key word is bartering. Sometimes you can use an accountant to help you and barter to you helping them in something that you do. It doesn't always have to be a cash transactional relationship. Equal value for equal worth. Would that be a good saying?
That's in you're leveraging relationships and building connections along the way. And so I would say I have in my practice stopped saying networking and saying connecting and building relationships, because those are things that will come to fruition maybe a year or two from now, but those opportunities are so meaningful. And without having that relationship, you often don't get put in the room. And so you want to say, Coach, put me in, right? If you're networking and all you're doing is like handing out business cards and treating people like a number, you're not really building meaningful relationships with anyone. They're not going to put you in the game. And so you have to just keep doing what you're doing. So eventually you get put into the game with these relationships that you've built, and it allows you to barter, and it also allows you to understand what's happening in rooms that you're not necessarily privy to. And so what I have found helpful in this year of being 7 years old in business is that I'm still learning so much, and I'm still learning about new segments of business that I need to understand how this group speaks about business, and having people to really share with me how to dissect messaging and coding that I'm not really understanding what this word means in another arena is super helpful. But if I didn't have that relationship in place, I wouldn't have a clue what's really being discussed.
That thank you for sharing that with us, because that is so critical when doing business. What you just said, and we have to start working together. This is a two-part question as we come close to the end of the show. What is something entrepreneurs can consider doing right now? Thank you.
So I think right now entrepreneurs can consider changing how they value information and what they actually need. And I would also say start trying to make meaningful connections with people before you actually need them. So if you know that you're going to go into tech, your thing is like, I want to build an app, I want to do something with AI. Before you need an engineer, you probably need to go in spaces where engineers are and start building meaningful relationships before you even have an ask. And if you have an ask, make sure you have something that you also can offer.
Second part of that question: what is something that business leaders can do right now to support entrepreneurial growth? And I know you are excellent at answering that one. Thank you.
I think business leaders should start thinking outside of the box of where they're going to provide resources. I think sometimes we get really comfortable in the places that we know, and we don't really look at who's new on the scene, or if someone else is doing something in a more innovative way. And so I think it would be in our best interest to not always go with the trusted source that we know, but also push ourselves to see who has now entered the space that we need to get to know.
Well, it's clear that we're on the same wavelength here. I think I've shared with you, my dad and I started a land abatement company back in the 90s. Then we went into, had a truck driver training program where I introduced at the College of Alameda. And then in the year 2000, I started a construction company where I started with a $50,000 contract and turned it into a 7-figure contract in 5 years. So I say all that to say this, and I would like you to speak on it on the East Coast, because a lot of our people get narrow tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that my dad and I did, we looked at the playing field and figured out where we can play the most and make the most. Can you tell this audience, because we got a little bit of time here, what do you think about that concept, and how has that helped you? Because I look at some of the stuff you're doing now versus some of the stuff you did when we interviewed you about 3 years ago. Can you share with our audience how to be diversified so that you stay in business and not go out of business? Thank you.
So this might be unconventional, really, because you really have to get out of your own way, right? Like there's things that you want to do, but you have to also admit to yourself, maybe people don't want that information from you, or maybe they don't want that service from you. Seeing periodically where the shifts are going, either in your region or in your state or in your tri-state, is always helpful. What is the political atmosphere like? Is politics driving business? More than likely it is. They have a set agenda of what they want to work within. So that
Well,
goes back to these industry clusters. And
let me interject 1 second. Government contracts. When you said political, government contracts, we have to start looking at government contracts. First, we need to start electing officials who look like Tasemere and myself, because a lot of political people who are white, they will not tell you about the government contract, the billions of dollars of government contract that can grow your business. They'll give it to their white counterpart and won't say nothing to the black man and the black woman.
And that also goes back to being in the space before you have an ask, right? So doing your research and understanding, well, what's happening, and doing some sort of guesstimate of where you think something might be later, right? And so usually we're always behind the 8 ball when it comes to picking up on trends. Even though we feel like we're trendsetters, we're not usually trendsetters. We're basically piggybacking off of a trend that is already in the midst of happening, and then we polarize it and it becomes something that everybody knows about. But those are little droplets that's happening that we often miss. And if the political atmosphere says that your state is into life sciences or deep tech, and you're saying you're going to open up a t-shirt company, well, I don't know how you're going to get government contracts. Like, what government contracts are going to come out for apparel if they're into life sciences and deep tech? And if that's not something that you can do, how do you get closer to that? How do you think about having co-founders on what you're working on? How do you think about building an advisory board? I just think we really have to be willing to be uncomfortable in business if we ultimately want to grow something. That I hear a lot of Black entrepreneurs talk about, having legacy businesses and creating generational wealth. That also means that you have to be nimble, because your industry might move. You know what? One secret that most people don't know is that a lot of businesses moving to the heartlands. So a lot of businesses moving to the Midwest. Are you willing to relocate? Like, what are you willing to do in order to grow your business that is ethical and impactful? Will you move? Will you partner with someone on another coast than you in order to grow your business and have more market share?
Well, as we wrap it up, audience, I want to piggyback on what she said. You have to be nimble. You have to be agile. You need to go with the flow where the money goes. And the reason why I said what I said regarding politics, you know, and like in city council meetings, mayor's meeting, they hire caterers to bring in food. And we have a lot of black restaurants who can partner up so they can get some of that money. And it's good money too. They pay good money. For instance, city council, the mayor has meetings. They don't bring their lunch. That stuff is catered in. And you said t-shirts. When the city council or public works, when they buy their vests and their t-shirts, that money should be fairly distributed in black businesses, and it's not. To that end, to connect with Tasemere Gathers, LinkedIn, Tasemere Gathers, Instagram at the DM Firm, at Brunch Pitch. Her website is thedmfirmnyc.com. And I want you to help me close out, Tasemere, as you are a seasoned host. And since you are not doing your show, I want to keep your skills tuned. So I may be calling on you to co-host with me.
Of course.
I liked how you and I, our synergy was so good today. You took when to grab in, I knew it. So I like that. And a lot of people don't have that type of synergy. So as we close out, audience, I want to thank you. And that is to you, Mr. Doni Glover, for the honor of the Black Business Roundtable, being a part of your growing network dedicated to bringing the real unfiltered news before the news. hashtag BlackUSA.news, hashtag Donnie Glover. And you can visit his website at bemorenews.com, blackusanews.org, twitter.com/Donnie Glover, facebook.com/Donnie Glover official, and youtube.com/Donnie Glover. Can you take the next line, young lady?
All the shows under Donnie Glover's media umbrella, also blackusa.news. I know that we have a lot of new hosts and older hosts, I'll say seasoned hosts, that shows may have taken a hiatus. So it would be best for you to check underneath the umbrella to stay tuned. But we have programming Monday through Sunday. So there's always something to watch. Thank you for coming to and share your hashtags. Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, North Carolina, 2022. He was imprisoned for self-defense when he was threatened with bodily harm, and he has and he needs your support. So you can listen to his backstory at this link, YouTube. We will put it in the chat. I think it's already up there, so you guys can be able to follow the story and support him.
Also, thank you for supporting hashtag Justice for Enzo. Once again, hashtag Justice for Enzo. The Husky in Lodi, California, and animal advocate, the Chris Kelly Foundation, based in Southern California, continue with hashtag Boycott Lodi CA, hashtag Boycott Lodi, hashtag Boycott Lodi Wine. You have many choices for wine purchases other than the 80-plus wine makers in Lodi and San Joaquin County area. Google Justice for Enzo the Husky, the beautiful Husky, or see the chilling video. And audience, let me tell you something. It was gut-wrenching to see the police and the animal control dragging this dog down the street in a noose around his neck and tasing him at the same time. So see the chilling video for yourself and share it with others. The video has made its way to Europe, New Zealand, and beyond. There is GoFundMe and petition as well.
If you want to be in the know and reach your audience, then join our BBRT advertising family, or to possibly be a guest on the show, email us at bBRT2021@hotmail.com. Be sure to include your company name, address, website, company phone number, and social media page info. Basically, we need all the deets in the email so we can be able to go through the process to get you onto the show. Our audience will help you grow and help us grow. Definitely share our podcast on all the social media platforms: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know about TikTok, but if you have a TikTok, share it there too.
Audience, as we wrap up the show, we have a few minutes. We are 6 minutes ahead. Tasemere, I want to say this again. It has been an honor having you co-host and be a guest on the show. And audience, I want to say this. We need to combine our energy and synergy to start developing Black economics, Black political power. And once again, I have my Oakland pendant, and I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it in honor of the mayor of Oakland and city council, who have brokered a deal to where Ray Bobbitt, president of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, will finally have a stadium. So when they meet with NFL officials, They are ready to move ahead, and Oakland has been the mecca because this is huge. Tasemere, in the history of the NFL, you have never had a black group to have the opportunity to buy an NFL team. And that's going to happen here in Oakland. One of the things I'd like to say before I close out, I had to fight with Ray Bobbitt on a political level because we had some unintelligent political people here who tried to destroy this man's dream, who I had to sit in many political settings and fight for him, fight for Ray Bobbitt and the African American Sports and Entertainment Group. And when it does come to fruition, Ray is going to allow me to do a live podcast stream from the internet. So I'll have a booth, baby girl. So when you come down, let me know. When your team is playing, let me know. You can sit in the booth with me because I can see we got the synergy. So you can do a play-by-play, and then I can do a play-by-play. So,
just throw me in the team, coach. I've been training. Just throw me in the team.
Well, you are already on. And I thank you for coming on today. And I appreciate you. I love you, baby girl, for your family ethics and your business ethics. And I love your East Coast accent. I love
I never thought I had an accent until I got here, and people are like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm from Brooklyn." Everybody, you don't hear it. When you're in New York City, everybody sounds the same. Now I sound like a fish out of water.
I love hearing you when I listen to your show and listening to you now, I miss your voice. I love that New York accent. It is awesome. So
thank you.
All right. As we close out, tune in Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time on the Black USA.News Network on YouTube, Facebook, and live. I like saying that, live on Instagram. Meet us after the show on Instagram Live. Art Blackshear new segment, Doug's podcast wrap up. Remember, together, we can listen, we can learn, and we can share because I know you care. I know you care. This is Doug Blackshear and Tasemere gathered and looking for Dr. Ashley to return soon of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless and good night.